Video number 5. I'm going to cover kind of working with my legal team, um, handling a couple different cases, and weighing plea deals. Um, I want to start off by saying one thing. Like, I could do an entire series on just this part of the journey. Working with my legal team, navigating the criminal and civil cases, ultimately making a decision to take a plea deal. There's just a lot more that goes into it than I can put in this video, but I will try my best to cover the key pieces. Um, After the accident, after the charges were filed, after I turned myself in and got out, my legal team and I started meeting fairly regularly. Mike and Jess were great. They became a constant for me during a really unpredictable time. Our meetings were never overly dramatic, but they were steady, they were focused, and I always appreciated how clear they were with their words, even when they were not telling me the things that I wanted to hear. Um, Meanwhile, the wheels of the justice system were slowly beginning to move. Every couple of months or so, there would be some kind of legal checkpoint, from a probable cause hearing to motions to case status updates. And to be honest, like, because of COVID at that time, Mike and Jess handled a lot of that, and I didn't have to necessarily appear, or I had to appear on video. But they handled the bulk of that, which was definitely appreciated. But that didn't mean that I wasn't involved. We were working constantly, I guess, behind the scenes, um, to build an extremely strong case. I actually went back with them to the scene of the accident, walked them through exactly what happened, where it was, what I saw, the timeline, and everything. That was emotional, that was surreal, and it was the first time I was back on the lake. This is something like over a year after the accident. Um, Back on the water, but at the same time, it was extremely necessary. From there, we hired marine safety experts. We had 3D renderings of the accident made. This wasn't trying about poking holes in the prosecution story. It was about putting together the most honest, fact based version of what happened, and doing everything we could to basically accomplish one of two outcomes, is how I saw it. First outcome, a plea deal that I could live with. Second outcome was a case so strong that we just take it to trial and fight this. And we did build that strong of a case in my eyes, and in Mike and Jess's eyes as well. While this was happening, there was also a civil case that was filed against myself, my family, and my insurance company. So at the same time, while Mike and Jess and I were working on this criminal case, I was working within a completely different legal team on the civil case. That part added many new layers, and a lot of stress. Eventually, we made the decision, Mike, Jess, and I, to keep pushing out the criminal case so we could settle the civil case first. Looking back, I 100% believe that was the right call. At the time, it wasn't easy. You're constantly weighing timelines, optics, emotions, just a lot of unknowns. Like, how is this going to affect this? If we don't do this, what happens here? And just, Mike and Jess were there for all of that. Fast forward towards the end of 2021, it had been about 16 months since the accident. The civil case had settled. Our case on the criminal side, from our side, I believe, was in a strong place. It was documented, it was thoughtful, and that's when kind of as a team, Mike, Jess, and I, we gave the green light to start having the conversations with the prosecutor's office. We wanted to see where they stood and whether a plea deal was on the table. I'm not going to get into specific numbers here, but I had a number in my head, a threshold, where if that plea deal came in above that number, we were prepared to go straight to trial. That's how confident I felt in our case. and how important it was for me to take ownership and not get buried in a punishment I didn't believe was justified. When Mike came back to me with the first plea deal, the offer, it was below that number. And I remember sitting with that, feeling relieved, but also there was a strange wave of clarity. And that was the moment I knew I was going to prison. Not maybe, not what if, not let's see what happens. This was real. I was going to prison and I was essentially signing up to go. There was a bit more back and forth on the terms, but the deal I ultimately landed was 15 months, and I accepted it. From that moment on, I stopped wondering what would happen at trial. I stopped thinking about the possibility of spending 15 years in prison. I knew what I was facing. I had a number to go along with it. I knew that there was a start date and an end date. I had about 3 months between accepting the plea deal and my sentencing. 3 months to mentally, physically, emotionally prepare for incarceration. And I'll talk more about what that looked like down the line. But for now, what I want to leave you with and what I'm trying to convey in this video is that working with your legal team and how I worked with mine is not just about building a case. Well, that's a huge part of it. It's about building trust. It's about communication and transparency, being honest with your fears, your limits, and what you can and what you can't live with. And when it comes time, it's about making one of the hardest decisions of your life with as much clarity, preparation, and support as you possibly can have. And with my family, my friends, and my legal team, I had the support to make the decision that was best for me.